The Killer Growth Podcast starts now.
What's up, guys? Sam McVeigh here with the Killer Growth Podcast, and today I have Chase Locke with Outrider.
Yeah,
and
with myself.
With himself. And we're here to figure out who the heck Chase is and what he does. No one knows. All we know is that he's the little ranch kid that somehow became CEO of some country music media company. Yeah. How does that happen?
Or is that where we're starting?
I think it's a great place to start.
Man, I don't even know. I feel like there's a lot to fill in between that.
You can do whatever you want.
The biggest gap ever.
It's your mic.
You know what?
It's your show.
You're really becoming the Barbara Walters of Butler County, and I like it. You really do a phenomenal job at this. I'm always impressed. I'm like, Samuel asks really great questions, and he's got a great demeanor about him on camera. Trying to buy time.
I appreciate it. This is not about me. It's about you. Answer the dang question.
So I grew up here in El Dorado on a ranch. I'm the proud son of Chris and Allison Locke, and my brothers, Christian, Ryan, Levi, all grew up and wanted to be ranchers. I was a pretty creative kid, which I attribute growing up on the ranch to like kind of that creativity and imagination, because you're just outside. Sure. I mean, you're daydreaming all day long. But Dad did some rodeo stuff on the weekends. I remember there being like a few shows after the rodeo that I kind of like small things like you'd have in something like El Dorado or a small community around here. And I was like, oh, that's cool. But it was probably when I bet I was 8 or 9 when Garth came to the Kansas Coliseum, and it was the big 90s tour where he flew over the audience, and it was just wild. And I remember thinking like, this is so cool. But I remember my memories aren't of him. They were of all the people. Like it was like, I remember some stranger put Christian on his shoulders because like we were all there and we were little but it was just kind of like, it wasn't a party. It was community. To me, it was community. And so I grew up being a fan of a lot of different, things in music. Dad made me audition for the play when I was in 6th grade. I had prepared an R. Kelly song, which obviously doesn't age well. I got up to do the audition. I forgot all the words, and I sang Happy Birthday to Michelle Banks.
Yes.
And luckily, Michelle cast me. Still, I think everyone got cast, but I got a role.
Theater teacher at the high school at that
so she
time, or was that at the...
She used to be, I think, a teacher in the district, but she did the plays and the musicals at the time. She's been involved in fine arts forever. She passed away several years ago. Her daughter, Katie, obviously.
Michelle. I said Katie.
Katie now, her daughter went and had a successful career on Broadway, came back and is working public school system in our community, which I think is the greatest thing ever.
Hey, we need Katie on the podcast.
Yes, we do. Need to have Katie talk about some
Schedule
Broadway
that
days.
when I can
That's
drop
a good
in.
idea. Yeah,
I mean, honestly,
our audience.
Dude, I don't think people understand.
Katie Banks,
I'm going to give
probably going to listen to this. So
a quick plug for Katie, but also something we're going to do in El Dorado this summer. Like in the entertainment world, everyone knows like Broadway talent is the most elite. The most precise, the most like probably 10 times more than most major touring artists that you know and love.
I mean, it's all live.
It's 8 shows a week. They are not allowed to have misses. I mean, they can lose their job. Like it's crazy. Yeah. So the fact that she did that, I mean, I think I've said it before. That's like the equivalent of someone from here having like an NFL career and coming back. I mean, it's cream of the crop. And anyways, real quick, there's going to be lots of sidebars.
Saying happy birthday.
Yeah, saying happy birthday. But real quick on Katie. So, and I'll circle back to this. In my journey in Nashville 10 years ago, a gal named Laura Bell Bundy and I became friends. She had recorded a project with Universal Music Group that was really well received, had a lot of success. We became buddies, but she was the original Elle Woods in Legally Blonde, the musical. She was one of the original Glendas in Wicked. She was in the original cast of Hairspray. Like all these shows that weren't just like big on Broadway, but were like pop culture, like big success. And she became a dear friend, and I adore her. But we're going to do a show at the Performing Arts Center this summer. You get the exclusive.
Let's go.
But we're going to do it at the Performing Arts Center July 10th on a Friday night. So
Nice.
she's going to do it like Broadway Cabaret. We're going to do songs and stories where I'm going to moderate some conversation because there's so many incredible stories in her career.
That's
like
awesome.
she made her debut when she was maybe 9 years old.
Jeez.
And her understudy was Britney Spears. And then her second understudy was Natalie Portman.
Wow.
So anyways, but we're going to do that
Jeez.
July 10th, and she's going to do a masterclass with Katie's kids.
Beautiful.
So anyways, I'm pumped about that. So this is, when you ask such a wide range, we got a lot to cover.
So you sang happy birthday.
saying happy birthday.
About a 5-hour long podcast.
This actually is
There'll be a part 2.
part 3. Saying happy birthday, Michelle was the one that really introduced to a lot of us, like, yeah, you're performing, but there are people that get paid really good money to be sound engineers and lighting engineers, and not just in the theater, but in like entertainment. I mean, there's thousands of jobs, which started to just get my mind thinking, like, what does that look like? I mean, obviously, when it comes to marketing, you have to market these artists, you have to market these projects. There's all of these things that could be possible. And growing up in a, on a ranch in a community like El Dorado, it feels very far.
Yep.
I always tell people I was an Oprah show kid, meaning my mom had the Oprah show on generally like at 4:00 in the house. And if you were home at that time from practice or whatever, usually you were doing homework in the kitchen and you'd kind of like hear it, see it in the background. I feel like because it was before social media and all the access we have, that's really where I kind of started to be like, there's a lot of different people and a lot of different places and a lot of different things out in the world.
Big place.
Which I just was like, I'm a very curious kid and still feel that way. That's still the child in me. Like I just am like, how does this work? And who is this person? And I always wanted to see things with my own two eyes. Like loved reading books, loved gathering information, but I'm kind of like a skeptic until I could see it and be like, this checks out. And even that doesn't always tell the full story, but that was always like just how I'm built and still to this day. And so anyways, through all of that was kind of trying to figure out, well, what does this look like for me? And I really didn't think that I would have that opportunity because I just didn't know how that was going to play out. But Gene Plummer, who I'm back in town because I did the prayer breakfast for Gene. She was a part of the Frontier Western Celebration, which was one of the festivals in the community where they had a rodeo, they had shows, all the small town fair stuff. And she had asked me if I wanted to volunteer on the committee my senior year and said that they wanted to do a show. And I was like, I'd love to help with that. And they were like, that's great, go do it. So we got some sponsorship dollars. I think we had like $20,000 to spend on talent, which is a lot, but in the scheme of like booking talent is not very much.
Goes real quick.
But I reached out to William Morris and started going back and forth with them about this budget and what we could do. And I don't think they realized that I was 17 years old and I still have the contract with William Morris that I signed on our behalf. I don't know if it was their negligence or whose it was.
17-year-old.
But it was because like William Morris is a big institution. I mean, it's big business. And so anyways, that kind of got the ball rolling on a few things. But what it did was we needed to buy some advertising to promote the show and the festival. And so we bought some with Clear Channel at the time, which owned a variety of radio stations in Wichita, KZSN being one of them. And Pat Richmond, who was the account executive for us, had said to me after, like, you should come intern with us. And I was like, I'd love to. Like, why not? That's interesting. And college, I was taking classes, but it just didn't make sense for me. Like, I was going for strategic communications, and it was like Meta, Facebook, everything was coming out, and I'm like,
This is
this is all changing. And if I wanted to be like an attorney or a doctor or something, I would have totally been more driven, I think. But so anyways, I take the internship, still in school. I'm going to try to fast forward through all this. End up getting, like during the internship, they send big country shows to Nashville to do the CMA Awards broadcast. And Wichita is a big market for country. At least at that time, it was like a driving factor and kind of like making or breaking artists. Not like Wichita amongst maybe 30 to 40 markets, but country radio, those stations really at the time before streaming made the success of an artist or not. And so their morning show was going out to do the CMA Awards. The tech who was supposed to go like do everything Tyler does back then. Well, it was a lot easier. Actually, it might have been more difficult. I don't know.
More difficult.
But it putting that together got sick, and they needed someone to go like plug in cords and get coffee. And they asked me to do it. It was like last minute. And what happened was we did the show, did the shows throughout the week, actually where the Bobby Bones show was forever, down on Music Row. And there were two women and a gentleman on the show. And one of the co-hosts, one of the gals, was not participating well with the other. And the other being Kathy Carrier, who, like, in my book at the time, Wichita broadcasting legend, her dad was like the most famous weatherman in like Wichita. Yeah, Cecil Carrier. And then she was like weatherwoman across the state. I mean, she was syndicated and like on stations everywhere. Anyways, it's the day after the award show, and we stayed up all night. I was not legal to drink, but I drank. And we went to the after parties, and then we went to the hotel, and we got in at like 3 a.m. Well, we were getting picked up at 4 a.m. to go down to do the show. So we just stayed up. And so if you're tracking, I was still buzzing a little bit and maybe a little brave. But I just took the microphone from the gal who was kind of throwing a fit all week. And I started weighing in and doing the show with Kathy and Anthony. And I got in trouble, not by them, but by our station manager back in Wichita. But a month later, they offered me a spot on the morning show. So that then started kind of like, I got in, I worked in the promotions department, did that. Eventually was a music director. Music director is really where I made a lot of like key relationships early on.
And what does that mean? A music director
will work with the record labels and the artist on what songs go to radio. So when you hear like a single from an artist, I always tell people, and it's kind of changing obviously with streaming, but you'll have an album come out and you'd only hear 2 or 3 songs at most on the radio. There's a lot of songs you don't ever hear played on the radio. Well, those songs don't get delivered to radio as singles. And so we would work to help determine what songs would go from an album to radio. And then essentially we're helping determine the success of that song and the charting of that song. A song would get added and it might be in a light rotation, and then they're working it into a medium rotation and then heavy and then power. If it makes it to power rotation, you're usually competing between some superstars for who's going to get the number 1 spot. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to get a number 1. And then it's like, Carrie Underwood has 30 number 1 singles. Like that feathers in the cap that they all want.
Yeah.
And so that's really, so you're working with primarily folks from the record label, but you're also working sometimes with management, artists. And it really unlocks, it opens the door to put you at the table at times with people that you wouldn't. And that's where a lot of my relationships started to unfold. But I was so fortunate to work at KZSN. It had, at the time, it was Clear Channel when I interned. Bob Pittman, who ran MTV and created like the music video and all of TRL, that whole era in the 90s, came in to lead iHeart. They rebranded iHeart.
Right.
They talked about, it's so funny, like I haven't thought about this forever. Like they're going to create an app.
Oh, right. Because
and you're going to be able to listen to the radio on the app.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, whatever. Like it's,
no one will do that.
It was also at the time, Facebook was starting to gain traction. And I remember one of the last calls I was on was like, here in a few years, we are going to be social media accounts that happen to have radio stations versus radio stations that have social media accounts.
Yeah.
And that's kind of been true. I mean, that's, iHeart now is, a whole different company.
Yeah.
But the thing about it, in places like Wichita, Kansas City, Dallas, those markets, I worked there. We were in the old Pizza Hut corporate headquarters, and it was a full on-air staff on every station. There were salespeople everywhere. I mean, it was a big, bustling environment. But quickly with automation and everything, there's now probably like 3 or 4 humans in a lot of those, because everything's syndicated, and you now have shows in Nashville that are, on everywhere. But it used to be everything was live and everything. And so it's a great privilege to me that I started my career in that, and I got to experience like the last great era of like media broadcasting.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. And that role is when the moment happened with Tay.
You're gonna ask me about Tay Tay. We love Taylor.
I've got a photo for Tyler to throw up there.
We stand the Taylor.
Look at that.
Don't they look like sisters?
They do. So
that is actually my favorite photo. One of my favorite photos from my career at all times.
So I heard another side of this.
Your wife
story.
is so beautiful, and she looks the exact same. The rest of us look
we all changed a bit.
Old, but she looks the same.
For sure. So tell that story. That I'll tell you a version from Haley that I heard. But you tell that story.
So
for context, this is my wife with Taylor Swift.
Yeah, my recollection was I think Haley was working down at Jacob's Well at the time, which was a cafe here in El Dorado, and she was doing some photography. Yeah. And I remember I've known
and a lot
Haley.
of people think she worked there. She worked there one evening. She lived upstairs. She was just always there.
She worked clarifying things.
She worked like one evening, I think, helped out.
But she was like running it down there. But I knew she was doing photography, and she was in my little brother's class, and just have adored her growing up.
Yeah.
And I say that because usually when you bring people into like that world, you just want to make sure they're not weird. And I was like, Haley checks out. She'll be fine. But at this point, Taylor, we get a phone call, and they're like, Taylor wants to come in and do the morning show with y'all in person. And this is a big deal because we're now like 3-4 albums. We're like 3 or 4 like sold out tours in.
Yeah.
It's the Speak Now era.
All right.
I can start talking like Taylor stuff all the time. But she's like superstar. And we're like, she's going to come do it in person? Because usually you'd be lucky if she'd call in back in the day and do. And so Scott's coming in, Scott Borchetta at the time, who was her label head, and everyone was, and they were like, you can't tell anyone. Which everyone says that all the time in this business, but you still tell. But like in this situation, you're like,
you didn't want to ruin it.
You don't want it to get out because
big opportunity.
It would just be logistically tough if fans started to show up at the station.
Yeah.
And so anyways, I didn't tell anyone, but I knew we wanted to have a photographer there to capture everything. And so I reach out to Haley and I said, hey, we have this event over at iHeart tomorrow, and we have someone coming in. We're going to do kind of a little theater setup, live version, taping, interview. Like, can you come over and do the photos? And she's like, oh, she's being so sweet. I so appreciate you thinking of me, but
she's
I'm kind of
really
busy.
Good at saying no to anything.
Like she was just clear and like, I'm kind of busy. And I'm like, no, Haley, I don't think you're busy. I don't think you want to be like, I think you want to do this. She's like, what? Like it was some kind of back and forth like that. And I just remember being like, I think you'll be glad you made time to come to it. And so she came over and did it. And I don't remember at what point that I actually did tell her. I know when she got there, she picked up on it. Because we had, in that photo, there's signage. Like, we had a bunch of stuff printed and made.
Yeah, it was like the, well, I guess they're blocking artwork. The banner. But
so anyways, when you came in, you instantly knew. They kind of moved you in. We had some security people, and they're like, Taylor's going to be here. And she's like, what? But she took great photos. And it's funny, I actually found when I was moving some stuff recently, the CD full of the original photos that she took. And I'm like,
Yeah, I told her, I was like,
Keeping
she
that.
needs to go find those.
Yeah, I got
like,
them.
I want to see all the other photos. Everyone else
they're
was
my
there.
favorite.
Yeah.
Because there's some obviously great photos of Taylor and I.
Yeah.
But like just crazy. That was such a crazy time.
Yeah.
And she was so cool. I mean, she's the greatest.
Yeah.
Like I not that you want to sit here and talk about Taylor Swift, but I feel like there was a few situations early on. She and I were about the same age. And like I was really young working on that side of the industry. And obviously she was really young as an artist. And there were times that I would just get some attention and love from her and her mom and her family. And I felt like that just by proximity.
Sure.
It's like, oh, who's this kid?
Yeah.
But she is incredible.
Yeah.
And I tell people all the time, my last like direct interaction and seeing her in person was right before COVID. And she is the most genuine, sincere, like such high character, high integrity, and like as normal as you can be for her life being not.
Sure.
Because there's something that happens in an artist like that where you go from you want to have success and sell out arenas and all that, but then like the zeitgeist, whatever, like sucks you in, and then you're at the point in the game where it's like if you retreat, they almost might be more fascinated with you, which could cause it to be more difficult. And I just think she has ridden the wave with such grace. And obviously I think she's the most prolific songwriter of our time.
Yeah.
I really do.
Well, Haley's version, I talked to her about it last night. I was like, hey, or 2 nights ago.
I want to
was
hear
like,
this.
Fill in the gaps, because we haven't talked about it in forever. And she's like trying to remember it all. And she's like, I wasn't even a Taylor fan. She's like, I knew who she was, but I hadn't even really listened to much of her music. And I didn't know that. I was like, that's crazy, because now
She was
she's
probably
the
listening to
biggest
something
Swiftie.
cooler.
Yeah, she's the biggest Swiftie I know. No, that's not true. David Dillner's the biggest Swiftie I know. That's for Dillner.
I'm aware. Now that you say that, I forgot.
So she goes in and take the photos. There's like all these people sitting, watching the interview. She was reminding me of that, or talking about that. And she was sitting right next to Taylor's mom. Didn't know it was Taylor's mom.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden they started talking. And then multiple people kept asking her, are you Taylor's cousin? Because she was sitting next to Taylor's mom.
And looks.
She had, right. So multiple people thought they were related. And she kept saying no. And she's like, I should have just said yes.
Yeah.
Like that would have been great. So she takes all the photos. Everyone gets through. And this part was interesting to me. Taylor goes, hey, I want to get a photo with you.
I was going to say, I remember that.
And then she tells Haley to give her camera to who was her agent at that time?
It was probably Scott or someone with the.
It was the guy that sold it the first time that she didn't like. Yeah, Scott.
None of us like Scott.
None of us like Scott. But she told Scott to grab the camera, and Scott took that photo.
Yeah.
He did? Scott took that photo. I was like, no way.
That's actually pretty big.
I know, right?
In the storyline of Taylor Swift.
Right.
That's pretty.
Yeah, like Haley's little, and then what was that album release? The
Speak Now.
Speak Now. So then fast forward, and I'll finish with this.
Yeah.
Haley and I go to the Eras tour in Kansas City, and she remade all her albums.
Yeah.
And the release of Speak Now happened that night in KC.
So
I have a video of Haley holding up her photo with Taylor Swift 20 feet from Taylor Swift, because we were row 6 on the floor.
Were you the night that Taylor had like the other Taylor out and the guests? We were there. Okay.
Yeah.
So you were the night before us.
Yeah.
I had the same thought.
Yeah.
From that time.
Yeah.
Because we went the night after, which was still when she was releasing.
Oh, wait, no. Who did come out? Now that you're saying
All
that.
I know is, and I'm not saying this is a flex, but they still take care of all of us.
That's awesome.
Which is so kind. But we were sitting like 10 rows in front of Kelsey. And it was the night that he went trying to meet her, and she wouldn't meet him. And I'm like,
crazy.
It's kind of funny because I have a photo of Mahomes and he right behind us, because I'm like the biggest Mahomes fan.
Yeah.
But
that's cool.
I'll give you one other fun fact about that day. Is she, I probably shouldn't say this, but it's fine. She was kind of like emotional in the bathroom, and her mom was like, she's going through this breakup. There was some things. I think they had flown in from LA.
You're sitting there, new song coming.
Well, it was her and Gyllenhaal had I don't know if they were together. I don't know. But they were no longer, and that was like, that breakup was what created the song All Too Well, which is her number one biggest song of all time. And as you know, as a Swiftie, we have the 10-minute version now. But I was like, there was a lot wrapped up in that little Wichita stop.
That's wild.
But I will say, like, just thinking about like business, how you conduct yourself. My nephews stayed with me up at the ranch the other night, Wells and Ted, the older ones, and they're fascinated with some of my world. And I said, we should watch some of the Taylor Swift documentary. This isn't my world, but it is on a bigger scale what a lot of people we work with do and what it looks like to bring something together. And then I was thinking, actually, in this box, I have these letters from Taylor. And I pulled them out, and we were looking at them together. And she, long into her career, and still to this day, I'm sure, if you did anything for her, you would get a long form. I saw that on the documentary. She wrote a letter to everybody on her crew, handwritten, which was massive. I mean, it's got to be 1,000 people. Yeah. But that is her. And it's like, I sit there and I'm like, I'm busy to write these thank you notes or whatever. I'm like, Taylor Swift can carve out time. I can work it in. But I'm still so impressed. And I do a lot more handwritten notes because of that. Like, it's just, she's so impressive.
All right, we're going to get off the Swiftie train. You're at iHeartMedia.
Swift podcast.
It could be. There's plenty to talk about.
iHeartMedia.
You go from iHeartMedia to where?
So none of my career makes sense to anyone but me, because I generally go where I have curiosity. And going back to the whole Oprah kid thing, one of the things that made a really profound impact on me when I was in like early high school was there was an episode. This is actually where I got dialed in on Oprah, and I paid attention when Mom was playing it. She had gone to South Africa and I can't remember what it was called, but she set up these circus tents. And they had shoes and clothes and gifts and whatever, but all kids would come in and they would measure their feet, get their clothes, like kind of get to know each child. And then they would have like a carnival day. But in the meantime, they were curating gifts for every single child, putting their names on them, all this. And then at the end of the day, they all got Christmas. And it was all practical, but it was just these kids that lived in extreme poverty were kind of seen for the first time. And it kind of got me thinking, like, I developed a real curiosity about, like, there's poor people in the world again. I mean, growing up, we didn't have a lot, but we just, we live in a great community and
we're all top
there's not a lot of diversity. But it was kind of piqued my interest. And I was actually talking with Rick McNary when I was at iHeart, who was in Numana, about like, hey, you guys are going to like Haiti and things. Like, I'd love to like hop on a trip. I'd love to see that someday. Like and I think that was right after obviously the earthquake. And so Haiti had a lot of needs, but also in the conversation a lot. And I went down the first time on my own with a few folks to see Jan Thompson and Go Naive, was incredibly moved, but my curiosity was off the charts because I was like, I had so many questions. Like, how does this all happen? But also like all these white people coming in doing things and everyone's got initiatives and like, I was again, just really curious and such a fan of Jan's heart and what she's done up there and how she structured her work. But anyways, there was an opportunity to do some work with Numana that had come up, like doing some fundraising and whatnot. And I had kind of gotten comfortable asking people for money because one thing you do on the morning show is you do all the community events and you go to all the auctions and you help raise. I mean, it's kind of like what Jeremy does all the time. Like and so I'm like, I could get people to give me some money. And so I started doing a little bit and then did a little bit more and then actually went to work at Numana and worked there for like at least 4 years probably. And I really enjoyed that because was able to travel and see some parts of the world and things that like I just was curious to see more of, and did what I thought was a lot of good. And like I still wrestle with like helping and when helping hurts and when it helps. And like that's no criticism of like, I think a lot of people do things with really good intention.
Sure.
But I just have a real fascination with like, where is the root? Like, and I've got a lot of thoughts on that. But anyways, one thing, and this is kind of where like everything blends together for me, is when I went to Numana, I was like, well, we need to raise money and package more meals to send more people that need it. And I was like, I'm coming off all these relationships at iHeart. Amy Brown, who's co-host on the Bobby Bones Show, we had become friends. I had reached out to her and I was like, man, they did this thing in Wichita where it was like a Guinness World Record event. I know Tyler's back there and knows all this. Like, maybe we try to break that. Like, maybe we try to package more meals than they did, and like we can get some of the artists to give
You're
money.
saying Numana set a world
Numana had set.
record. Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, for like most. All due respect to everyone, you can like if you pay Guinness and there's not a record, you have to pay them to come. But like you can set a record.
Yeah,
and they did. It was incredible. I mean, it was like 500,000 meals in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
And so we're like, we're going to break the record. And it was so funny because at the time we needed to raise $250,000 to do it. And that seemed like so much money. And it was like, I'm not, but it was like, you would have thought you asked she and I to raise $5 million. And so we're doing things through the Bobby Bones Show. Bobby was so great. They did a lot of, fundraising on air. We had hit up artists and labels and we're like, okay, Carrie Underwood, Brad Pitt, like all these people, just give us each of you $1,000 and you could sponsor a packing station. And so we got a lot of artists to do it. And it was a great experience. Got everyone in Nashville in that community involved. We broke the record. And we sent all those meals to an orphanage that she had been a part of down in Haiti. And anyways, it was just like the first time that I was like, okay, I could just start weaving everything into whatever I'm doing, and did more and more of that, had a great time. Also simultaneously decided I wanted to run for commission when I was at Numana. Right. And so was on the commission at a young age. I think I was early 20s maybe. I keep looking at Tyler like, do you remember? I'm really bad with time, but I know
we won't hold you to it.
That I was young and it was a great experience. Loved it. I learned so much about local government, dealing with people in a different way. I know y'all, have had your fair share of that. But I really think like I'm so grateful because most people do that later in life. Like most people that run for local office and things, or even just like serve on boards, do it. And I did it so young that it really was a wonderful experience for me.
Yeah.
And so did that, went, had the opportunity, they reached out, would you want to come oversee the foundation? Carrie Myers was leaving the SBA Foundation at the
Susan
hospital.
Biala Memorial.
And I was like, well, I can raise money and I love El Dorado, like do that. Quickly realized in that, enjoyed my time there, enjoyed the board, the people, all the things. But I was like, man, I just really love still the entertainment stuff. Like I'd rather move some of what I do when it comes to fundraising to like personal. Like I'd rather do that not as an employee. Like that's not. But going back to Numana, that I just got more and more comfortable asking people for money, and that served me well even in like business ventures where it's like, raising capital. It's kind of different thing, but there's similarities. You just have to be comfortable.
Yeah, you've got to be comfortable and confident about why you're asking.
Yeah. And so, anyways, that all served me well. But
you're good at taking no. Like, that's one thing I respect about you. You ask anybody anything, and
I
can
think
say no.
My dad there was a conversation we had, early on that it was like, all they could do is say no. And like that really stuck with me. And I mean, I have sent every email, made every call, and I will say like so much of what little success I've had or like anything I do well is because I have a really, really rich network of people. And I hate saying network because they're really all just friends, but I would never take anything to anyone unless I thought it was the right fit for them, And I think that's but it's like, if I do, I'm not afraid to take it to the wealthiest person in the world and them say no, because they might say yes. And I've had enough people say yes to me that I'm kind of like, I'm good with the no's because I know that yeses are possible.
Yeah. That's good.
And so anyways, that was wrapping up at SBA. This is the longest answer. You asked one question.
This is a long format.
I thought we were going to like do a fire round.
I baited you in. Yeah.
But I was like, I always wanted to go to Nashville, like more properly. I was out there so much when I was at iHeart. I was there a lot, even with Pneumatics. I'm like, we're going to get donors and events out here, like get in my network. And so I made the decision I think it was like 18 to move to Nashville. And I created a little LLC called Buck that I was Buck. So Buck was my great, Buck Naked. There's a lot of plays on that word. It was my great grandpa's horse. My dad bought him. And I just have a lot of admiration for my great grandparents, Eldon and Sancy. They were phenomenal people and embodied a lot of like the character and values that I wanted to carry into everything. But also it was Butler County, Kansas, which felt like home, more than just El Dorado, being a ranch kid.
Yeah.
The BUCK kind of, I was like, and I like 4 letters. I'm like clean. And so I was like, I'm going to go out and I'm going to start taking clients for like marketing projects, media, like some, not publicist stuff, but like, again, I could kind of do whatever needed to get done. And so was doing some things with iHeart again, helping Amy grow her brand. We launched her podcast network, which, was all during the 4 Things stuff and just.
Oh yeah. I forgot about that.
Yeah. Started working with whoever had projects. And some of it was like, you get a retainer or two and you're like, okay, I could breathe. You guys know this. And then it was project by project. But one of those groups was a small investment group out of Northwest Arkansas, led by Patrick Harris, and Rich Morris was part of it, who was from here. So he had reached out to me because they were doing an event in Nashville, and he knew that we'd done some things. And then we got to talking, and then I went and I met Patrick and anyways took them as a client because they were involved in a handful of kind of small projects, but also had a small marketing arm. They had created Country Outfitter, they were a part of it. I shouldn't say that. It was, I think, a different group, but Rich had been a part of that. Country Outfitter was like the largest e-com site back in the day for Western wear.
Okay.
Kind of when e-com really had its moment. They were selling all brands, all things, all the time. And that sold to Boot Barn, if I'm saying this all correctly. There was a point people were creating blogs, as kind of a play to sell e-com products.
Sure.
And they created One Country, which was a country music news site that had covered everything about the format, the artist.
Out of the boot?
In Country Outfitter.
Oh,
so Country Outfitter had One Country. Well, Boot Barn took Country they didn't Outfit. Want the blog. And so I think that sold and they bought it for nothing. But it had a massive owned audience. Yeah. As you guys know.
I didn't know One Country started as a blog.
Yeah. So it was a country music blog and did really well. And they operated that business as such. I shouldn't say really well. I think it did well where it could make money. But when, again, Facebook, my favorite company in the world, changed the algorithm, what used to be you were making money from this massive organic audience, you had to pay now to get eyes on everything. And then the business model just went.
Yep.
Well, it still had a massive owned audience, both on social, on email, like it was significant. And so they were a client. We were working on some Western wear projects with some boot brands and whatnot, but we started talking about this, and I became more interested in kind of the possibilities and some of what they were thinking. They had done some sweepstakes. They had learned a lot. They were looking at how do you get some of this to play in with the media and like the content and the blog stuff. And we were trying to piece together all the parts. And so anyways, during this time, I'm spending a lot of time in New York, had befriended, again, just weird journey, but I think it's for context, like a lot of people at Good Morning America and like ABC.
I feel like in real time, you're realizing how weird it is. Like, that's my favorite part about this.
This is where I'm like,
I see your eyes and you're like, oh, this is
I'm
weird.
already like,
How do I
God,
say it?
anyone who's still listening, I'm sorry. This
We got
is
5 people.
just
We got
me.
5
Hey,
people.
thanks,
Let's
Mom.
go.
I'm like,
yeah. Thanks, Allison.
Mom, Grandma, yeah. But I was spending a lot of time before COVID out there, and was so fortunate to be welcomed into what really felt like the craziest room I had been welcomed into. Because like New York just is different. You know, it's like all these people, you just picture being a ranch kid, like,
Right.
and again, Mom had Good Morning America on every morning when we'd be getting ready for school. Like that was the show she watched. And it was so fun. And I was kind of like, all right, I'm going to go to New York. There's some opportunity here to work with some of these like really great people, things, but was still working with OC Media as a client, some of the Nashville people, all of that. And then COVID happened. So I'm like, hey, I'm not going to move to New York right now. Like, which was, okay. So real quick,
would've been-
and I'm just a rambling, so cut me off at any point.
Okay.
I was moving from the apartment in East Nashville. Movers were coming, I think like March 10th. And I was going to take stuff back to Kansas, and I was going to take a few things to a small place in New York. And I was going to be like, I'm going to go out there for a year. Like this feels exciting, fun. I could still work with the Nashville people. Tornado comes through East Nashville.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Between literally Amy and I, like we didn't have any warnings, and it wasn't like, I'm not saying it's like some traumatic experience, but no one expected it. And I remember all of a sudden my phone does that Amber Alert sound, and it's like tornado. I was like, what? Wasn't even supposed to rain. And sure enough, like I go out on the balcony and I hear a train, which people talk about.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there ain't no train tracks in downtown Nashville. Like, we're not. And so that went through. And then we're having this growing conversation around COVID in the news. And I'm not kidding you. The day everything got loaded in the truck that I was going to drive back to Kansas to leave stuff here and then fly to New York to be out there for a year, one of my good buddies, John Grundy, who used to work at the Y, had went to coach at George Washington University in D.C. And he called me when I was driving back to Kansas, and he said they just walked out on the field, and they said everyone needs to go get their things at the dorm and leave today. And like, as I went home, they canceled March Madness, canceled, the world shut down.
Yep.
And I was like, I literally was a week away from being in New York.
I was in Vegas when that happened.
I don't know if I'd want to be in Vegas, of all
I got
places.
out.
I'd rather be in New York.
They just started shutting everything
Yeah.
down, and then everybody
But it was
tried
just
to get
a
out.
crazy time. And obviously COVID was terrible. It was a real blessing for me because I ended up being on the ranch with my family and my brothers. And it's like, who gets to like all be under one roof as adults? Like, it was magical. But then I also was like, feel safe enough. I'm still going to go out to New York. So I went out there and I spent a lot of COVID out there. Amy Robach, who was the only anchor going into the studio at Good Morning America at the time, was a friend. And I remember she loves to run. I don't run, obviously. But I was like, I'll run up.
All right.
And she was running to the studio, and we were like we were in Times Square and we were the only human beings
That's crazy.
in Times Square. The only human beings. Like, which just thinking back will probably be like one of those crazy memories.
Apocalyptic kind of feeling.
But I will say, just story time, it was it made me fall in love with the city so much because I was one of those two. I'd gone to New York so much. Like, I love New York. I don't really want to like live there, but it just is a city that's full of like so much energy and there's so many things. And I just love all the things. Getting that curiosity piece. You can get like a lot of the world in one place. But I don't know what it was about all of that. I'm losing my train of thought. But it was something that I really thought I probably wanted to go back and hang my hat here, spend more time. But I was like, I'm going to go back to the ranch, spend some more time trying to remember all the things. But during that time, the One Country guys and that group, they're in Northwest Arkansas. And they said, hey, would you be willing to drive down and just do some work in person? Like, we're all anxious to get back around a conference room table and whatnot. I'm like, yeah, I'm game for that. And so during COVID, it had went down there. And that's really when some of the ideas started forming about like, could we grow One Country? Could this become more than what it is? Could it evolve? And they kind of had a business model that they had put together that was pretty intriguing, that with some, changes and the right players and things, we probably could do some good stuff. Yeah. And so I guess on that story, if you want me to tell that story real quick, the One Country piece was we had saw a real opportunity to grow our membership product. So you could become a member. You could get access to all the content that we had built an app.
Interesting.
You could get all the content. You could be auto-entered into every single sweepstakes contest. So we were giving away like...
What was the content that made you want to be a member?
So we did have some podcasts. We had Kelly Sutton, who was is the first female host of the Grand Ole Opry. Does a lot with Amazon, was doing a show for us. We had One Country Radio. We had a variety of podcasts, but we were doing artist exclusives. So when we would do a campaign with an artist, we would actually send like camera crew and go shoot stuff with Tucker Wetmore, Jordan Davis, like artists that were newer, but like on the rise. Yeah. And we would do fireside sessions. We would do songs and stories, like just a lot of content. Yeah. And we were figuring that out in real time, but it was really the sweepstakes and the contests where it's like you had an opportunity to grow the audience, drive value. I mean, it was, and people loved, we were giving away obviously these big vehicles, but really once people got in, especially for fans, we were giving away like thousands of concert tickets. So like every day you could be winning like a pair of tickets to see Riley Green, whatever. And we worked with Live Nation. And so it's like, if you got Riley Green tickets, wherever you were in the country, we would work to get you to the closest market. So it wasn't like, here's Riley Green tickets in Wichita, Kansas, and you're a member in New York. I mean, and you
would actually go buy them, or did you have partnerships with the artists to get those tickets?
So that was through Live Nation. We didn't pay for it. And that's really where like I got heavily involved.
Interesting.
And eventually became the CEO. We had an idea. I'm trying to think, what was the company? Why am I going blank? Big sweepstakes company that did the charity stuff first. You're gonna
before One Country. Yeah.
Like they like big stuff. They were doing like Hollywood stuff, and it was a massive brand. We'll think of it at one point. But they had celebrities on it. And that initially was like credibility, because sometimes when you're giving away like a big prize, people are like, that's not real. Well, my thought was, what if we put people on? What if we pitched it to artists and we tried cross-promoting a project? They give us their time, likeness, and it oftentimes like whitelist ability for us to run ads from their account, and we'll promote whatever it is they're doing. Like, would that work? Would that drive enough value? Walker Hayes was a friend of ours, and this was at the height of the Applebee's song, which was a big viral. It was a great song, but it was having a moment on TikTok. And all of that. And so Walker was synonymous, had a great story about giving back. He had fallen on hard times when he was let go from his record deal. Really kind gentleman, bought his family a big minivan because he had like this little car and he's got like 8 kids. And this guy's like, you don't have enough seatbelts. Like, but he was just, working at Costco overnight trying to get by. And this gentleman and Walker wrote a book that was outlining the story of that generosity. And I pitched to his team, I said, what if we created a custom co-branded lander where we gave away like a brand new Suburban XL as a sweepstakes, and you could get the ad, enter to win, but you get driven to this page where you could sign up to be a member, sign up for because all the sweepstakes you could enter for free. It was for prize people, auto entry into everything big and small that the membership popped for those folks. And so anyways, we did that. And then on that page, you could also buy the book. Like it was co-branded and it had, but then also our charitable component on that was, hey, tell us a story of someone who could use a new car. And like, then we would pick someone and buy another Yukon XL and just give it to them. Like they didn't have to win it, sign up. And it crushed. That's awesome. Like the campaign crushed for him, for us, it was like win-win. And so I was like, okay, I felt comfortable taking it to some other folks. And just instantly out of the gate, I'm like, Christmas is coming up. I'm just going to swing high. And so maybe like Reba would do it. And she's got so many brands and things like Justin Boots and TV shows and home products. And I said, what if people love winning a vehicle? Like, obviously that's a great prize. Right. But like, if we are able to make the math work, you get to pick a car, like what would be and it was some old Corvette. Well, we sourced it. We had gotten a used car dealership license and actually ran enough of it to be able to go to auctions and like get source vehicles.
Interesting.
And then we had it custom painted Reba red, like a rich apple red. And then we filled it with all of her products.
Nice.
And ran this sweeps, and she participated and did it for the Christmas campaign. We kind of wanted it to be like a cheesy, like Hallmark.
Yeah.
And we did it. It crushed. And because she said yes and that Universal team, everyone was then starting to reach out. And so the beauty was, without like, sharing too much, but the benefit we had was all those relationships. We had come up with some concepts, and we by then had a variety of options for them to be involved.
Yeah.
But we weren't paying what you would typically pay someone anywhere from a 6-figure to 7-figure deal to do
any type of cameo.
Yeah,
probably
like
period.
partnership.
Yeah, partnership.
Cameo. that real
was
quick
a good
funny
idea.
story. That's where there was one time I felt smart. We were giving away a cabin. This would be like they had done a vehicle, like a cabin giveaway before my time, but we were giving away this new one that was off the White River. And this is at the height of Yellowstone being like cultural conversation. And I was really frustrated with our marketing team, not at them, but we were paying for these beautiful assets with artists, like paying camera crews and we'd run ads, and you guys know about this. And it'd be the stupid freaking iPhone video that would take all the spin, outperform everything. And I was like essentially throwing a fit. I'm like, well, that's what we're doing then, guys. And I'm just going to book shit on Cameo. And so I went to Cameo, and Jefferson White, who plays Jimmy on Yellowstone, which is kind of like fan favorite character in Yellowstone, was on Cameo. And this is still kind of early enough. Like, I think we paid $800 for him to do this video. And it crushed.
And so that was a commercial license on Cameo. Like you were able to remarket that.
I think I went a little further than what the Cameo
what you were allowed
license.
to do.
So I reach out and I'm like, you know what? We should really do something more with this guy on this campaign, because it's running for those massive sweepstakes would often run from 6 months to a year because you had to recoup in order to like give away $1 million prize. I mean, you had to generate a lot of income to justify. Yeah. And so I reached out to his agent, who was a Hollywood agent, and was a complete like nightmare. Or at least maybe one of the agents, not his manager. I can't remember the character. And I was like, if I could just talk to him, I think I could. Yeah. And so I go in to Cameo and I dispute my video because I realize he's getting those directly because the artists get the request to do the video.
And they just do it on their phone.
That doesn't come through management like everything else. And so I dispute it and I put my info in there and he hits me up through Cameo.
Dude.
And then I talked to his actual like direct guy and we work out a deal. I said, we'll pay you to come to Northwest Arkansas. We're going to do a shoot, all this for a modest amount. And he was so game to do it. It would have cost like 8 or 9 times more through the agent and and he came and he did it and we shot the assets and we ended up, that was the first time we started running like TV commercials and got into new channels and it just crushed. And it was having, a recognizable face, but also someone at the center of culture at the time.
And it was trendy, yeah.
With a really great prize product. And again, and at this point, the prizing is taking off more than I had hoped it would. It was still great. It was just like, I was hoping we'd get more media. We were still developing the app and furthering.
Your goal was access for the members.
Well, so in the midst of all of this, it blows up and things are going really well and people start taking interest and we're like, should we'd done like a friends and family, call and raised a little bit, but we were able to keep growing within reason on our own. Back up, I had invested in the company when I was still working with him as a client, said, I'll work a little bit more. And then eventually I was like, they're like, you're kind of facing this, especially in Nashville and within a lot of the partnerships. And you have, I have a decent knack for leadership, but I agreed to be the operations guy and then I was the CEO. And so I was running things at that point along with an incredible crew. But we had hired representation out of Boston and we were looking at doing like a proper cap raise, which I learned so much. And a lot of the conversation that started to come about and some of that was with Penn Entertainment, which had Barstool Sports. And so they're like, in Barstool, there was a lot of industry comparison because we weren't gambling, but we were sweeps, prizing, all that, and content for the country demographic. And country, as you guys probably have realized, was and is becoming cooler and cooler and cooler. And so we had gone through a lot of discussions about, raising capital and decided not to because we're like, I think we could do this ourselves, And so continued forward. And anyways, I mean, there's so much to unpack. And you can ask me whatever, that. But really, I left last June, and it was mostly because, there wasn't bad blood. It was just we had a lot of different opinions on where the opportunity was. And I think everyone was really excited about the gaming. And I, as an investor, am like, I'm game for that. But I don't want to run. That's not where I'm not going to be best for that. I could still advocate and be, but if we're moving away from a lot of the media partnerships, let's rework that. And so again, just one of those things where it's like, not so curious about this anymore. And I have the fortunate ability to kind of have that flexibility, where I can move in and out of that. And so have started working with artists and brands again, doing some of what I was doing before. And it kind of, my favorite thing about it, and I'm in it right now with one project that I won't share too much, but it's might invest a little in that. It's kind of the best way to date potential opportunities and step into it. And that's kind of what I'd like to do. But
that's awesome.
We'll see.
Who's the coolest? I mean, that's kind of putting me on the spot.
Such a long answer.
No, it wasn't a long answer. That's literally, you obviously don't understand this podcast.
I
This
don't.
podcast is about creating a long format about your life that most people won't get.
Okay.
And you just gave it to him. So thank you for doing that. You did great.
Okay.
You did
Felt
excellent. I know.
I
You're
get tired of hearing myself.
Self-conscious. And I'm like, oh, he thinks I should keip it. I'm not going to. I'm going to let him go through the whole story.
Now ask me questions.
Now the podcast is good. Hey everyone, this is Sam McVay with the Killer Growth Podcast. Today I'm Chase Locke.
Mom, we're still here.
I was curious. You've had a relationship with so many famous people, and like, what does that actually mean? Like a relationship or they know they know your name.
Yeah.
Versus like, give me the degree. Like I think of the analogy of you have enemies, allies, or enemies, adversaries, allies, friends, right?
Yeah.
And you have very few friends, and you can have a lot of allies. But like, what? Yeah, talk about those relationships.
I mean, that's just like in anything.
Yeah.
It's all person by person. I tell people, I was thinking about this recently. I was speaking at something in Nashville a few months ago, and you've met everyone. I feel like I've met everyone. But what's cool is when you reflect on the people you've had meals with. And I think that's like, you get into the Taylors and all that. Like, we're not like best friends, and we're not even, I wouldn't even say like close, but that's someone, when I see her, she knows me. It's like, I think people have always associated me as like a hardworking kid from a small town in Kansas. At least, like, I know the New York folks are a lot of why I stood out there.
You do stand out.
Well, I think it was to them, they're like, it was also during the Ted Lasso time, but they're like, it's just amazing when someone shows up in a place like in New York spaces,
right?
And you're just kind and like open the door and like, because everyone's just so
rigid.
And New Yorkers are great, but it's just different.
Yeah.
And I think that there have been people and artists that I have grown really close with, a few of them that I consider dear, dear friends. You get into some of the guys like Jordan and Chase, but there's these artists where it's like certain mega stars that have given you attention and kind of like been supportive when you've pitched something. And that equally, I have to say, is like their team.
That makes sense.
You're working with them. And the artist manages so much. It's really a funny business because I always remind people, like, the artist is the product. And in any other thing, we can create more of the product. Well, really, them being the product, it's their time. And they have the same 24 hours in the day that we do. So we have to be very diligent and careful about their time, because there's a lot of times, and I was even guilty of in the beginning, being like, oh, they can do that. They're not that, like, well, going to that
takes
thing,
away from something.
I mean, it does.
Yeah,
and it either
makes
takes
sense.
away from like friends, family, like stuff that's going to keep them operating, or takes away from a lot of money.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, and it really is a balance, and each one has to approach that differently. And I'm not trying to get off on that.
And the value, and that's a really interesting concept of they're the product, and they have an organizational structure around them, right?
Totally.
They have their own executive team.
Yeah, so like their executive
right?
team, just most people don't realize, like, even for like a solid B-level artist that's had some success, like, you've got your manager, you've got your day-to-day manager, you have your tour manager, you have your business manager, and you have a publicist at least. And that's core. And if there's, a lot of them, they employ the touring team.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like touring is, so there could be a lot more people, but that's like your exec team.
Yeah.
I mean, at least 5. And a lot of these guys don't know business very well. And you see that. That's where, I'm working with a guy right now who kind of rethinking and helping him understand the actual business.
Are you saying
side
the
of
exec team doesn't, or the artist doesn't?
The artist doesn't.
Gotcha.
And that's tough, and that's where they can get taken advantage of. And there's not a lot of that in our format. Like, Nashville's awesome. Nashville artists are awesome. We have a few bad apples, but like, there is a bar that has been set by people like Reba and George and Dolly, and like, where they protect the reputation. And it's like, if you're a little punk ass artist that's doing things that isn't, you're going to get a phone call. And like, I just don't think other genres have that.
Interesting.
And I really respect it. And I think it's,
sounds like a cult.
Yeah.
No, okay.
If it is, I love being a part of it.
I love Mike.
Yeah. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid.
It's fine.
It's just really good people.
Yeah.
And that's what I think makes it so fun. And it kind of feels like a family. But yeah, the relationship side, I mean, it's just everyone, it's so different.
It seems like a big deal for people at that level to have friends. I would think being, these big successful artists or anybody that's like famous, I think friendship would be tough.
I
think
think
through true friendship and you see some of these people, they still have the same people they had in high school, right? Because at least
I think it's new friendship that's tough.
That's a good way to put it.
All of them, the most I know, they're willing. It's just tough. One, to create time and space to make new friends, but two, oftentimes people, just they're putting on some version of themselves that they think this person wants them to be in meeting or interacting, and it's just not a lot of people come in and instantly feel comfortable around someone who's super famous.
Yeah,
and I mean
I get nervous and start sweating every time I see you.
There's
let's be real, okay?
But I think like my craziest Nashville story, honestly, and it was the second time I think I went to the CMA Awards, and we were doing a broadcast, and they have these like media rooms where they bring artists in and they'll do interviews with like 10 different shows. They'll kind of move around the room, and they were doing a press conference with Dolly Parton. I love Dolly Parton. That's a whole other podcast.
Right.
But I think she is the top of what everything an entertainer and someone with that kind of like status should be. But she was doing a press conference about doing this thing from London. We go to it. Carrie Underwood just won American Idol. There's a reception happening, small reception upstairs. You have to take the elevator after. I go out. I don't know what I was doing, but I go back in. I'm by myself. The elevator door opens. And I shit you not. It is Winona Judd with George Jones, with Dolly Parton.
Oh my God.
Carrie Underwood. And they're standing having a conversation. And I walk out.
What'd you do?
And Dolly Parton, before I try to say, well, hi there, Blue Eyes. Like, just like instantly. And I say, like, that's why she is such a pro.
Yeah.
And why so many of our, like, she knows how to instantly, like, this boy's walking into a hell of a disarm, make you feel welcome, and you're like, this is crazy.
That's awesome.
And so, and again, creative people, a lot of artists, obviously being creative people, a lot of them are introverts. And so too, it's not that they don't like people, but like they recharge with some alone time, and people perceive that as, well, he's kind of
a recluse,
or like like that's not the case. But there's a lot of
that's good. I was literally going to ask you, like,
a lot of characters.
What was a crazy moment interaction?
That's
a good one.
I honestly, and I didn't know at the time how crazy it was.
Right.
Thinking like George Jones. I think there's somewhere I found on the internet a picture from that party that a few of them, I saved it somewhere just because I want to have it, but it was wild.
Yeah.
And that's the thing too. Like, I was talking at the prayer breakfast. It was the first time, like, my brother, everyone gives me crap. They're like, Chase loves to be the center of attention. And there's some of that that's true, but there's most of it that's not. And I think, like, even my family, I haven't shared so many of those stories because I don't ever want it to be like, I'm special, I'm this, I'm that. Because I don't think that, but I do think, like, I've been blessed with a really big life.
Yeah.
And it's really fun.
Right.
And I've pursued the fun in it. Like, that's kind of by design. And even, like, getting into my living situation, I've got a little place here. So I'm, like, back a decent amount in El Dorado. I live in Northwest Arkansas, which, real quickly, I mean, that's been, you go into, like, again, having sat
Walmart
and had
headquarters.
meals with some of the most famous people in the world, but also some of the wealthiest. I mean, the Walton family, they're the wealthiest family in the world.
Yeah.
More than the Saudis, more than the world. And somehow I laugh when I end up in situations where I'm getting to meet people like that and different families down there and it just like I in Nashville, New York, I feel so genuinely grateful and blessed that like I just have a lot of people I love in a lot of different places.
Yeah. Well, I think the cool thing is that you love a lot of people, regardless. If you would have stayed in El Dorado or stayed in Wichita, you would have still loved a lot of people and kept loving more people.
Yeah.
And then you got to take that skill set, which you have, which people feel, and that's a contagious part about you. You got to go do that all over the country with a lot of different levels and different skill sets.
Man. And it's like, that's where it's like for me, it also fills my cup. Because I'm an introvert. I recharge by myself. My mom was always like, you might be a little too lonely. I'm like, I ain't lonely, but I love solitude. Like, love it.
Yeah.
It's like my walk with the Lord, like all of that feels most dialed when I get to like really get silent. And coming back to El Dorado, I do a lot of extroverted things out there. But coming back here, I'm still like, I love seeing everyone. But man, I recharge, I rest. It feels...
Yeah,
it really did. I love
it's like your back cave.
I was joking. So talking about downtown El Dorado, seeing what Nathan and his wife, what they're doing with District 142.
The stadium.
It's a wiffle ball?
Yeah, wiffle ball. Yep.
I think it's the coolest damn project that anyone has ever done in my life here. I think it's so cool. I am so excited for the community to have it. I hope everyone embraces it, all the things. But we were talking yesterday. When I formed that entity, the hope was, and it still is, and I don't know if and when the time will be right, and I think we've talked about it, but like, I really wanted to go work and develop opportunities with some of these people, but eventually, you said like Batcave.
You're going to bring some trusted fella into the Batcave.
I want to be like, I've always wanted to have an office in downtown El Dorado and like hang my hat here and travel to those people and things.
Yeah.
The reason I haven't yet is because business has been great, this stretch of time, and our flight situation in Wichita is not direct
flights.
Yeah, like it really if we had even just a few, I'd be like tomorrow would do it.
Yeah.
And so someday I hope that's in the cards, but I get excited about like, I still have so many ideas for El Dorado
to bring
not that like, but it's like, there's so much fun and there's so many, I'm really excited about our generation and specifically, we were talking before, like I get so angry. I'm not a parent. I shouldn't weigh in. I get it. They're like, well, if you had a kid, you'd feel, I know if I had a kid and things weren't going my way, I would not be putting that stuff on Facebook the way that some people are. I mean, I want to fight anyone that has anything bad to say about the community, specifically about USD 490.
Yeah.
I will fight them. And I actually want to like...
I've never seen Chase this intense.
I want to put pictures.
He looks like he wants to hurt me, but he's smiling.
Like,
it's really confusing.
Shame. Like, it makes me so mad. But... where was I going with that?
I don't know. I'm
the
still
generation,
trying to imagine you fighting someone.
The generation, like, I think luckily, you guys, my brothers, like so many of you, like there's this great set of parents and young adults that have young kids, elementary age, that are about to start transitioning into like junior high, which is where I think you get more involved in like junior high school. And these jackasses are going to be timing out. Yeah. And I think we just need to not give them any more credit. I think we need to just let them go. But there's such a rich group of young people who, if they can stay together in the community and the district, I think it is going to be a fun, vibrant time in our community.
Yeah, I think the up and coming.
Such a fan.
Exciting. And just the talent in El Dorado. I've had so many people comment on this podcast already from outside of state. Like, you guys have some cool people in a town of 12,000 people. And I'm always shocked. Like, this conversation, right?
I'm not trying to like move you guys, but I also was saying to Nathan, another like little dream is I was like, there needs to be. So I think we're doing a podcast starting this fall for iHeart. It's going to be a Nashville thing, unrelated, but like, I'm like, man, if I could do some of that in El Dorado and have you guys
produce it all. Yeah.
But I'm like, I want you guys eventually. It'd be so cool if you were downtown. Like if it was a storefront kind of thing where people could. Yeah. So I'm manifesting that at one point.
Well, we can't be against the wall against the truck route forever. We're aware that this has a timeline on it. But for throwing it together. But no, we've looked at property before and had dreams of turning
eventually.
There's one particular, we can talk about it later, that we had a couple visions for that could be just a really cool media hub. Just overall, that could be like a multi-use, right?
Yeah.
And then getting people here. And that's the thing that's been hard for me to think about when I'm talking to a guy that I think might fly in. Then he's got to get from Wichita to here.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you've got to figure out how to make that so worth it, right? Like I think you can. I think you've got to figure out what that thing is, but it'd be a lot easier to just have a podcast in Wichita.
Well,
right by the airport.
It's no secret. Like, I failed that first audition, but I crushed my next one with Michelle, and I'm kind of known for being the Cowardly Lion in The Wizard of Oz. It was 8th grade.
Kind of a big deal.
Yeah, it was kind of, drop that in the comments because I know you all remember. No, I'm kidding. But it was at the Performing Arts Center, and I just have so much love for, one, it's the only thing
cool.
that for all of us that grew up in the school system, all of our schools are new, which is great, but it's like the one thing in the basketball court out at the high school. But it sits empty, and that's not me crapping on anyone. It's just how do you program and how do you make the finances work and how do you make it appealing?
Yeah.
And so as you work on that,
it can be done.
We can get there.
We can do it.
And
It's just going to take a collaboration.
But I will tell you,
though.
I'm always hoping when there's more conversation around ICT, we need better flights. Because the biggest thing is, like when Amy came in and we did that deal at the Performing Arts Center for the hospital, Amy Brown from the Bobby Bones Show, she was game to do it, but she had to account for like 2 days of travel because it was connecting, and it's like, that's a lot. That's a big ask. It's not flying out, but
did they drop it? I thought Southwest had a direct to Nashville that I had taken in the past, but it was like 1 day a week.
Well, and that's other
It was
thing.
like, so you'd have to do a whole week.
Yeah.
Because there are some directs, but it's like you can only go to Vegas
if
on
you
a
have
Legion.
options, and you can get people in. It's like Laura Bell coming in. We're looking at, she's going to come in the day. She'll be here 2 nights. And like, that makes the ask bigger.
Right.
You're working and you have a family.
Yeah.
And it's just tough.
Yeah.
But we'll get there.
But to your point, I think if the offering could be way bigger than just the thing, right? If there could be a ton of media behind it, a lot of this behind it, if there could be like a lot of collaboration, make it really worth an in-person visit.
I think
build it and they will.
So here's my other, are we talking about El Dorado? I kind of was like, this is probably a terrible idea, but I realize more and more just all the grants and all the money that's out there that really, if one, you're aware of it, but get some help applying. Like there's so much possibility, especially when you look at a downtown district. And one thing that I kind of realized in a lot of places that interesting people want to go is the aesthetic. They love, like we'll say Bentonville. I shouldn't even compare it. That's uncomparable. But we have a really great downtown aesthetic that feels like a little bit like a Hallmark movie.
Yeah.
And you get into these things where you have like design parameters and business owners can feel like you're telling me what to do, that. And I was like, man, wouldn't it be cool? Amy's sister and brother have an HGTV show called Building Roots. They're designers. They kind of do like modern with rustic, like it's kind of a cool, but they did this coffee shop and have been a big part of like Pagosa Springs kind of getting some new life out in Colorado. I'm like, could you bring in like a duo like that who says, all right, we're going to take the downtown district and we're going to flip it. And we have grant dollars available. And this is what we would do from paint, awning. Also, we're going to work with a great local marketing company that if you want to refresh your logo and get better signage, we can do that. Yeah. Like, make these things available where it's not like this big construction project.
Right.
But it's getting some continuity, some like a vibe.
awnings alone are tough and expensive.
Oh.
If you could just like blend some of that, I mean, they're so different.
But I think that it sounds like there's like grants and things that are. But if we can like package it in a fun, different, interesting way, is that I don't know.
Yeah, for sure.
But I have ideas. I'm like, why they go and flip all these other things? Why couldn't we flip a little downtown?
Right.
I think that'd be fun.
Oh yeah. That's a good idea.
You know, and especially at a time where you have some great young business owners down there.
Right.
And it's like, I am so grateful that you guys took on Charlie's. And like, I think about that building. One, a great business with a great great service, all that. But if that building sat empty, I don't know who would be in there.
Oh, it's so big. It's 12,000 square feet,
it would
just wide open.
But you look at what Caitlin's doing, and then again, like there's just let's just keep that moving.
Let's keep doing more. Yeah.
I do think it can be a destination.
Yeah.
If you get the right. And for me, it's always going to be like, I'm always obviously going to be like, we need some entertainment.
Yep.
I think Performing Arts Center, my goal is eventually we get to a place, we do one or two, but like program out one a quarter.
Yeah.
And it's not anything, you bring in bands and it gets expensive because you pay for more
travel,
people.
all that. Yeah.
But I'm like, what we're doing with Laura Bell, we're going to have, someone playing piano, like it's cabaret style. She's going to perform. It's going to be just as entertaining, but we don't have to bring in and like.
You can diversify it too. Like we all like stand-up comedy. Like that's a pretty cheap
We talked
travel,
about like a
right?
true crime podcast taping. Like people eat.
Let's get.
Because I was the whole
Get
reason.
Dak Shepard to shoot an episode.
That'd be awesome. But the whole reason I was so shocked and have thought about it more was like, we sold out that Amy thing, and people love Amy and the Bobby Bones show, but we did nothing.
It's just you two sitting there talking.
I know. And we did it for like 3 hours. And I genuinely believe, and this isn't me just thinking we were great, but like I was so concerned if people enjoyed it. And I think they enjoyed it more than I thought they did. And I was like, we could do this. Like, this is fun. And this could be something that we, a little way to like contribute to the community. But anyways. I love it. There's so much cool stuff.
So I'll end on this because we've got a lunch in 4 minutes with Mr.
Already?
Noah.
Wow.
I told you. I mean, we got to be an hour 40 already.
Hour 25.
Hour 25?
Yeah, hour 25.
Oh, counting because I looked, we started at 10,
hour 20.
18.
Calm down, Samuel.
So you're
hour
right.
25.
All right, you're right. We did start late.
I do
so that's
ramble, but.
I have another hour and a half of ideas and questions for you. But Outrider is what you've called your consulting. You put a brand to who you are, right?
Yeah.
And then you've got resources, crazy amount of connections. Like if someone needs help with something, it's not just you. You've got access to so many people.
So what I've done with that is Outrider is really something where, initially I was like consulting. I don't feel like I'm qualified for that. And then I'm kind of like, undercutting myself, and it's mostly I have a really valuable network, but it's been interesting because I didn't want initially, like I don't have a website, it's all word of mouth and it's all through that network. It's mostly like projects around business development or marketing, and then what I do is in that network I've worked with some really talented videographers and photographers and tech folks, and it's like depending on the project I'll just 1099. I kind of have a preferred network of guys that I've worked with on things, 1099 them, we'll split up the project, whatever that is. And then in some situations, like I'm on retainer with a handful of artists and brands and that's what I really like, is finding the sweet spot where it's like it's affordable but it's good for me and I can kind of just bake you into my week and month. And I'm available because initially I was like, am I going to drive enough value?
Right.
And I think I drive more being that person who.
Like a fractional something.
Yeah, but it's even less than that. It's like the 1 foot in, 1 foot out, because you really have a different perspective than the people that are in the day-to-day of it all. And I think depending on the needs, everyone has different needs. That's why it's kind of at times hard to. And a lot of it, I mean, it's just crazy how it's kind of unpacked. And
Yeah.
I don't know where it will go. I don't know. I think that I'll always, because of my curiosity, would prefer to work with a variety of brands, entities, artists, because it makes it really fun and interesting and no day is alike. But I think I'll try to keep that small
Yeah.
and just word of mouth. And then there's a few things that I still want to build. But I was a little like, after the One Country ride, it's like, yeah, I want to do some of this and like catch my breath a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I was burnt out. It was my first time, one, in what really was a startup, two, leading a team, growing a team quickly, like all of that. And there's a lot of things I did well and a lot of things I didn't do well. And a lot of that I've learned on, the latter end that I'm like, all right.
Yeah, you were like, I'm just going to take a breather, not do much, and then then a finalist for CMA's CEO potential. Like, I'll go for this too. But no, I'm taking a breather.
I think, shut up, Samuel. I think like that's again the fun thing is conversations.
Yeah.
I also was about to. I'll give you. I think not people don't know this, but we're not going to get into this. I was during this time. I was talking to producers about being on The Bachelorette. I'm still single, and then I was moved to having conversations about being The Bachelor. Have we talked about this? That was one of those things. It was kind of like, and I'm like, everyone's like, "What are you?" And I'm like, "I don't know." It just kind of.
That's kind of how I wanted to start the podcast, but I didn't want to put you in that spot because I know a lot of it can't be talked about. But
how
does a ranch kid maybe become the CEO of CMAs? How does a ranch kid maybe
I don't know how
be the next bachelor? How does there's a lot of ways to start.
It's just I think it's that network.
You
really
100%.
realize like everyone.
And you're
the
available.
whole imposter syndrome thing is so real. Like again, just talking about what I do with Outrider, not feeling qualified to like. But I really look back, and if so much of how I define intelligence and intellect is based on observation.
Yeah,
I have been able to observe firsthand a lot of people and things and situations and a lot of different.
which I think builds a lot of trust.
I never gave myself even credit for that because it was always like, well, I'm not trained in this or trained in that, but I'm like, we're all figuring.
We're all making.
And that's what I've realized was some of the most successful. Is everyone's got a little bit of that.
Yeah.
And I think if you don't have some of that, there's probably something wrong with you. But I think it's like you get that with a network of people. Chase Rice is a buddy of mine and someone that I've worked with. And my rule to him is always, he just went and played Stagecoach for the first time, which is Coachella for country. It's a massive deal, cultural event. You have people like Patrick Mahomes and like the Euphoria cast and like it's a hub for culture. And he's kind of overthinking. I don't think he'll mind me sharing this, but like he'll at times get in his head on like, being around everyone and doing, and I'm like, just go make friends. The only rule is there's no objective that you have. We'll sort that out on the back end if we need to.
Yeah.
The only thing you need to do is go make friends. Like just let them get to know you. And it's like, if you don't vibe with someone, move on. Like that's how life, but just make friends. And I feel like that's how I kind of approach everything is like, you want to be friends. Yeah. And it's like, and then the friends ask you, hey, you should apply for this. Or, hey, you want to be on The Bachelorette? I'm like, which I would have been so pissed if I would have been on The Bachelorette because it would have been the season that just got canceled because the lady was crazy.
Oh, that would have been a bummer. Good thing. Yeah. Chase, you're awesome. We got to get to a lunch commitment.
Yep.
We're late. Let's go to lunch.
Are we shaking hands?
Thanks for being on.
All right. Shout out Tyler. Thank you.
Thank you, Tyler.
Yeah.